if you don't know how to capture that feeling, that makes you comfortable, then you need a guide, and in other words, you need a designer or an architect or something like that, or you need a finished carpenter who really knows his game, because really, to tell you the truth, it's the finished carpenter who drives the
Amen.
job,
Amen, brother. Preach it.
and and I, and I'm not exaggerating at all. It's a flat out truth. And you need clients who are also more trusting, who are, like I said, back to that vulnerability thing, who, gosh, when I first learned how to go steelhead fishing and how to row my boat through whitewater, I didn't just jump in the boat and head downriver. I got a guide,
I got
I
this.
got a fishing guide who taught me how to do that stuff, and I still go out with him because he's still teaching me, and it's the same with everything. I think it's the same with absolutely everything. If you can't figure out how to do it on your own, if you're not comfortable, then find somebody who will make you comfortable. And now back to, you really started my engine here. Back to what you were talking about comfort and finding comfort. Having spent over 20 years researching and writing this book on mantelpieces, I have learned that the classical orders are not there as paradigms for what's right and what's wrong. They're there as examples of what makes people feel comfortable and what makes them have a sense of proportion, primarily, not just design. It's the classical orders aren't there so you can pick between the Corinthian and the Ionic and the Doric. They're there so that you can pick a kind of size, a sense of proportion. Do you like stuff that's really heavy and stout? Then you're going to want to work with the proportions that are predominant in the Doric and the Tuscan order. Do you like really light stuff that's more modern and feminine, kind of, in a sense? Then you're going to want to work with proportions that are dominant in the Corinthian order and the composite order. And when I'm saying proportions, I mean, how big is this compared to that? That's what I mean by proportion, ratio. How big around is the column compared to the height of the column? And so everything I've talked about in the last couple of minutes about the classical orders is way over the top, and people are going to go, oh my God, there goes another guy off on, some stupid tangent about the classical orders. But if you're designing a mantelpiece and you want it to succeed and you want it to please your homeowners, you got to know, do they like the heavy look, the masculine look, or do they like the lighter feminine look? And that's going to tell you whether you should be relying on proportions from one order over the other, and that's going to determine how wide the pilasters are, how tall the entablature is, and how big the crown molding in the living room is. I mean, it gets down to, and Brent does such a great job of breaking this stuff down, like how tall should the baseboard be? That's a really huge question. And that is one of those little defining features that helps someone feel comfortable in their home. So one person may be really comfortable in a kind of a Tudor style home, real masculine, heavy, and another might be really comfortable in a modern home that has no baseboard, or in a home that has streamlined base, that kind of thing. And your responsibility as a finished carpenter or designer is to identify, first of all, not what pleases you, but what is going to make your client feel comfortable. And we may as well get right down to what that means. It means safe. It means what makes them feel, what's familiar to them. And familiar is like the base word is family. This is all about safety. It's about, what makes somebody come into their room after being at work all day and be able to relax. Well, safety, comfort, familiarity, all of that.
What I love about the classical system is that it introduces a human scale, and that human scale based on the human body, when it's projected onto the walls, it does make you feel safe. It does make you feel, at home. And so it's a beautiful thing.
I was just going to say, that's why it's what makes people feel comfortable, because
Exactly.
It's familiar. I'm so glad Brent broke in and said that, because that's why after 2,000 or more years, we're still, depending, 3,000 years, we're still dependent on the classical orders, because they encapsulate and they reflect human scale, and they make us feel comfortable.
Yeah. It's why you can walk into a Gothic cathedral and feel like you're just a tiny person, just staring up at these vast, structures. And then at the same time, you can walk into, a small, like a home, like a colonial style home, and feel like, oh, this is like a place where I'm supposed to hunker down and like have a nap. It's a little comfort. I was watching The Lord of the Rings recently. The Hobbit hole makes you feel small and comfortable, and then the giant castles and everything are like, oh my gosh, you're craning your neck up at them, and you're just watching it on a movie, but it explains that scale.
But think about that for a second. Because it fits in perfectly with what I was saying. When you go inside of a Gothic cathedral, who's the owner? Who's the homeowner? Who inhabits that? God. And it should be, like celestial. It should rise to the heavens, It should move you with drama and space, And that's its purpose. That gives you a sense of comfort and safety. And a castle. Who's the homeowner? The homeowner is some feudal lord or whatever who wants the respect of his the people that live on his property, on his land,
right,
and are supporting him in a sense, who he is actually supporting in a way,
Yes.